flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. The records show that all members of the City Council are present this evening, with the exception of Kerr and with the exception of Morgan.
Fairbanks as well.
And Fairbanks, beg your pardon. Copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the meeting room and is accessible to members of the public at any time during the course of this meeting. Traditionally, we annually have an employee recognition dinner. We did not do that this year because of COVID issues. We were going to do it this evening, but because of the weather, we just thought it best not to bring everybody out this evening, and we will do it at another date when the weather's just a little more conducive. All right, first item on the agenda, consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen requests. First item on the agenda is approve agenda as submitted. Receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. D, approval of minutes of regular meeting on February 1st, 2021, as on file in the city clerk's office. E, approval of treasurer's report of claims in the amount of $1,578,721.28. F, approval of Boswell report of claims in the amount of $51,167.51. G, resolution number 6677, adopting revised job descriptions for the various department heads and superintendents of the city of Beatrice. H, resolution number 6678, reappointing Susan Hartley to the Beatrice Housing Authority Board. Item I, resolution number 6679, appointing Wade DeKoning to the Community Development Authority Board. J, resolution number 6680, appointing John Barta, Rich Erb, Tim Lineweber, and Neil Mintz to the Board of Public Works Retirement Committee. K, resolution number 6681, appointing Tracy Bear and Mark Pethod to the City of Beatrice Retirement Committee. Item L, resolution number 6682, executing the letter of agreement between the city and Felsberg, Holt, and Ulevig to amend the original scope of services to include assistance with review, preparation, and response for a Nebraska Department of Environmental Energy MS4 program evaluation and content preparation for the MS4 program 2020 annual report. Item M, resolution number 6683, executing the cost of service and rate design study proposal and any and all documents necessary to retain JK Energy Consulting LLC for professional services to conduct a cost of service and rate design study of the city's electric rate structure as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Is there any item that any member of the council wants removed from the consent agenda? Anyone from the public? Mr. Claybaugh?
I move that the items listed under the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and are ratified as presented.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by Bilsbach, that all items under the consent agenda be approved. Your vote, please. And that is approved 5-0. Beg your pardon, 6-0, right?
Five.
Who else was up there?
Yours is.
Oh, mine was up there? I guess I don't get to vote, do I? There we go. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing declaring redevelopment area number 2 to be substandard and blighted within the definition set forth in the Community Development Law, Nebraska Statute 18-2101.
So the redevelopment area number 2 is the downtown portion of Beatrice. It runs from 2nd Street out to about 8th Street. It runs from Scott up to about Elk. The north side of the area is a little bit choppy, but Elk is kind of the outer limits of it. Blight studies never actually go bad. they're good essentially forever until you do another study to see there's enough improvements that it no longer warrants that designation. However, there are grants out there that really want to see those blight studies be done within the last 10 years. We tried for the downtown revitalization grant again this last year, and it was denied, and part of the reason it was denied is because our blight study had been more than 10 years old. So we retained the services of Hannah Keelan to come down and do the study. They've completed it. In part of their study, and I'm trying to pull up the report here, when they go through there are statutory requirements that they're looking for to make sure that your area qualifies as being designated as blight and substandard. Now, first off, I don't like those terms. Nobody likes those terms. Those are terms set by state statute. Those are not our terms. There was an effort to try to change in the state statute a couple years ago, and that failed. So this is what we're stuck with. I'm going to try to pull up the right section here. I just got to go a little slower for the computer. There we go. So you can see those are some of the statutory requirements that they're looking for. So for a substandard area, there's about 4 of them. For blighted area, there's 9 or 10 of them that they're looking for. Hannah Keelan comes down and does a survey of all the properties in that area when they make their determination. If you read through later on the report, it shows you about how many properties of each type were met throughout the district there. In essence, when Hannah Keelan finished her study, their determination was that there was enough of these underlying factors in the area to designate the area as blight and substandard. One thing to keep in mind is if you look under, I think it's the blighted area. Is it blighted? Yeah, I think it's blighted. One of the criteria is buildings over 40 years of age. So you think of the downtown area, many of those were built more than 40 years ago. You start running the numbers, it becomes a large percentage of the downtown areas qualify, for those reasons. So that is what we're doing. That's how we got there. That's what the study comes out and looks for. It doesn't say that your building is bad. It doesn't say that it's dilapidated. It simply says that the area in whole is blight and substandard, which then makes it available for TIF financing and some other benefits like that.
Questions?
The boundary doesn't change from the previous 10 years?
Correct. The boundary is the exact same as it was before.
There's no advantage changing it one way or the other or anything?
There's always, you can find some areas that maybe on the outskirts that maybe you want to include, or some areas on the inside you want to take out. And those always can be done later as we need to. Obviously, one of the areas you could look at taking out would be the station where the fire station is at, or that block. Moving forward, you don't see much more redevelopment occurring there, certainly not anything that would use tax increment financing. So that's a block you could take out in the future if we wanted to.
Any other questions, gentlemen, from the public? All right, Mr. Claybaugh, would you close the public hearing?
I move that the public hearing be closed at 7:09 p.m.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by Billsbach, that the public hearing be closed at 7:09 p.m. Your vote, please. That is approved 5-0. Next is a public hearing to consider adoption of the redevelopment plan for redevelopment area 2.
So same area. Yes, you're required to have 2 different hearings. We've had 2 hearings at Planning and Zoning. They recommended approval. We had a hearing at CRA. They recommended approval. This hearing is as part of the plan you see there is the redevelopment plan. So part of it is the actual study, part of it is the redevelopment plan, both of which you discuss and approve tonight.
Any other questions? Mr. Claybaugh?
I move that the public hearing be closed at 7:10 p.m.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by McLean, that the public hearing be closed at 7:10 p.m. Your vote, please. And that is approved 5-0. Next is resolution number 6684, designating a portion of redevelopment area number 2 to be blighted and substandard.
I move that resolution number 6684 be passed and adopted.
Second. By Claybaugh, seconded by Fralin, that resolution number 6684 be passed and adopted. Any further discussion needed, gentlemen? Anyone from the public? And your vote, please. And that is approved 5-0. Resolution number 6684 has been passed and adopted. Next is resolution number 6685, adopting the redevelopment plan for redevelopment area number 2.
I move that resolution number 6685 be passed and adopted.
Second. Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by Freeland, that resolution number 6685 be passed and adopted. Tobias, anything further?
No, sir.
Gentlemen, and your vote, please. That is approved 5-0. Resolution number 6685 has been passed and adopted. Next is an ordinance to vacate lots 14 through 19, Gage County Industrial Park, Second Edition, to the City of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska.
I move that said ordinance be given number 20-5, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by Billsbach, that the resolution or the ordinance be given number 21-5, the title thereof approve. The rules be suspended and the ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight. A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please.
Mayor, this one you do get the opportunity to vote because suspend the rules requires 6 votes. So if you want to, you can vote yes or you can vote no, and we'll do it 3 separate readings.
I'd love to.
Well, make sure
Your
you're in
vote,
I want
please.
to make sure you're in your paycheck tonight.
Good catch.
Appreciate that. We-
You can't abstain, man.
You can tell I don't use this very often. And that passes 6-0. Ordinance number 21-5 by number the first time, ordinance number 21-5 by number the second time, and ordinance number 21-5 by number the third and the final time.
I move that ordinance number 21-5 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by McLean, that ordinance number 21-5 be passed and adopted.
So what we have going here is, if you guys recall, we sold some ground to Zephyr Towers in the industrial park. Part of that requires that we need to replat the parcel of ground that we sold them, really for 2 reasons. One, the parcel of ground that we sold them, we need to, and I'm going to pull a map up here, in the northwest corner. The road is not as square as it shows on the maps. We've actually rounded that road off, and so partial of their ground is now underneath a road as part of our right-of-way, so we need to replat for that reason. But also, while doing so, we combine the 5 lots we sold them into 1 lot. It allows them some flexibility when it comes to building on their parcels there. So since it was previously platted, you need to first vacate the existing plat that was there, and then the next thing coming for you will be to approve the Zephyr Tower plat.
Questions, gentlemen? Anyone from the public? All right, your vote, please. And that is approved 6.
5-0. This one you don't have to vote on.
You're confusing me, Tobias.
I know.
Why are you doing this to me?
And my switch, you know, you got off, yes, no, and abstain. To vote yes, I have to put abstain in. Just to let everybody know. Where was I?
Difficult on top.
Ordinance number 21-5 has been passed and adopted. Next is an ordinance approving the plat of the Zephyr Towers addition to the City of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska.
I move that said ordinance be given number 21-6, the title thereof be approved, and rules be suspended, and said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by McLean, that the ordinance be given number 21-6, the title thereof approved, the rules suspended, and the ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight. A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please.
You're up again.
Let me abstain here. That's a yes vote. And that is approved 6-0. Ordinance number 21-6 by number the first time, ordinance number 21-6 by number the second time, and ordinance number 21-6 by number the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 21-6 be passed and approved.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by Freeland, that ordinance number 21-6 be passed and approved.
So again, this is simply the plats for Zephyr Towers. And, for some reason, it's not coming up here for me. Aaron, I don't know if you're, are you leading tonight? Okay. So the plat, there's nothing special with it. Like I said, we just simply combine all the lots that they did acquire. They have their setbacks on there, sanitary sewer easement, that kind of stuff. But outside of that, yeah, there's nothing to get too excited about with this plat.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public? And your vote, please. And that is approved Ordinance number 21-6 has been passed and adopted. Next is an ordinance amending section 25-36 of the Beatrice City Code establishing a filing fee for requests for appeal hearings regarding abatement notices for diseased and dead trees.
I move that said ordinance be given number 21-7, the title thereof be approved, rules be suspended, and said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by Billsbach, that the ordinance be given number 21-7, the title thereof approved, the rules suspended, and the ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight. A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please. And that is approved 6-0. Ordinance number 21-7 by number the first time, ordinance number 21-7 by number the second time, and ordinance number 21-7 by number the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 21-7 be passed and approved.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by Fralin, that ordinance number 21-7 be passed and approved.
We have a couple of different nuisance ordinances on the books. We try to make sure they all read very similar to them, and quite honestly, we sent notice out recently, and that's where we caught the discrepancy in there. So what we're proposing on this one first, on the diseased trees, is you can see there by the red line copy is one is requiring a filing fee. So if somebody wants to appeal today, they get notice, they have time period to come in and make their appeal, but requiring a filing fee, which we do if you have a dog bite case or some other nuisance cases, we require a filing fee, so we made it the same in there. And then also we just made sure we put the language in here that if they request an appeal hearing, but they don't send the filing fee in, then it's considered invalid. You got 5 days, which is the same amount of time in this case for to give your notice. But if you just send in the notice but don't send the filing fee in, we just clarify that would consider be an invalid appeal. Again, this is language we have in some other nuisance codes, and we want to make sure that they're consistent moving forward throughout the city code.
Any questions, gentlemen, from the public? And your vote, please. And that is approved 5-0. Getting the hang of this. Ordinance number 21-7 has been passed and approved. Next is an ordinance amending section 17-187 of the Beatrice City Code establishing a filing fee for requests for appeal hearings regarding nuisance notices.
I move that said ordinance be given number 21-8, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by McLean, that the ordinance be given number 21-8, the title thereof approved, the rules suspended, and the ordinance be read by number 3 times tonight. A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please. That is approved 6-0. Ordinance number 21-8 by number the first time, ordinance 21-8 by number the second time, and ordinance number 21-8 by number the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 21-8 be passed and approved.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by Fralin, that ordinance number 21-8 be passed and approved.
Very similar to the disease trees we just talked about. This one is probably your main nuisance ordinance that you have in your city code that we use quite a bit. As you can see, some of it's just cleanup language. We clarified those calendar days in one place. We also put in the thing again about requiring an appeal or a filing fee for those who wish to appeal. And again, if you just don't submit the filing fee at the same time you submit your appeal, after 5 days, it's going to be considered null and void as well. So same type of stuff as we just put in disease trees, and we did also just clean up a few other grammatical issues in it as we read through it.
Any other questions from the public? And your vote, please. And that is approved. She was apparently not getting the hang of it. And that is approved 5-0. Ordinance number 21-8 has been passed and adopted. Next is resolution number 6686, establishing various fees.
I move that resolution number 6686 be passed and adopted.
Second.
By Claybaugh, seconded by McLean, that ordinance number 6686 be passed and adopted.
So we have one filing fee, or excuse me, one fee resolution that we have out there that we put all our fees into. You just adopted 2 changes to your city code, which would include a filing fee for nuisances And so those fees have now been added into the fee resolution. That's the only change in the fee resolution. And both of them were set at $100, similar to what you already have in there. And here they go. They're at the top of this page, if I can. So again, administrative fee, that was already in there for mowing. Now you have it also clearly states this for snow removal, and if we remove the removal of dead or diseased or dying tree, there's an administrative fee. That goes back towards the time and effort that the community development department would have in it by going out inspecting it, following up on it, all those types of things go into that type of cost. And then you see the appeal fee for notice that you just approved in 187 and in 2536.
Questions? Public? Your vote, please. That is approved 5-0. Resolution number 6686 has been passed and adopted. Next item is the public forum. Purpose of the public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public to the City Council for consideration at a later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the council at this time. Anyone for the public forum? All right. Next up is the police department report, and I'm going to flip-flop these. I'm going to start with the city administrator's report. Chief Lang is occupied in another meeting right now, and so he may be finished. If he isn't finished in time, we will delay this report until our next regular scheduled meeting. So Tobias?
Sure. So a couple of highlights that I want to kind of point out in the administrator report. One you may have seen in there about going to one billing cycle. Today, the city of Beatrice has 4 billing cycles. There's 3 residential billing cycles, and then one essentially that's a commercial billing cycle. So when you get your bill, some of the energy costs that you see on there is from December, some of it's from January. And from an accounting standpoint, when we're trying to match up, I know how much I paid in energy in January, but I don't always know the revenue that I received because, again, it's kind of split over different months. We've been trying to find a way to get that so it's consistent. It's the same each month. We know how much revenue we receive in a particular month. So that's the reason that's driving the change to one billing cycle. We have been in contact with our accounting software program to help us make sure that we can get that done. We're working with them. We are looking to make that switch in April or May of this year, hopefully April. One, we want to wait till after the first 3 months are done because your residential sanitary sewer bills are based upon your water usage in January, February, and March. So again, we want to make sure we leave those 3 months alone. There are no concerns that people are getting a big bill or a small bill during that time period. 2, we want to try to do it in what we call a shoulder month. Those are generally months that you're not running your heater as much and not running your air conditioner as much, so your utility bills are a little lower during those months because there will be some people that have a short bill, maybe 2 weeks, and then get another bill, or they may have a long bill and may have up to 6 weeks on their bill, just depending on where the cycles come in. And so we want to try to make sure we make those bills as small as possible to have the least amount of impact. So as we get closer, we'll continue to notify people through all of our different media outlets so they understand what's coming up. We'll work with them for those that need some assistance and try to get those things done. Obviously, there's budget billing and some of those. We'll have to work through some of those issues. But again, that's the reason for it. That's what we're starting to roll out there. A couple other items. We have 2 items that are out for bids right now. We have Bell Street, 5th Street to 6th Street. That's out for bids right now. And the river access is currently out for bids. So when we get those back in, obviously, you'll see those projects hopefully move forward. If there's something that comes up with them, we'll bring them back here for discussion. And then probably the main topic that people have a lot of questions about today is what is going on with the energy world. It was a little bit of a hectic day on that side of things. So in a nutshell, if you will, the issues that happen in the electrical market today or the energy market were not confined to Beatrice. They were not confined to Nebraska. They were across the entire Southwest Power Pool footprint. For those of you not familiar with it, the United States is broken up into different regional transmission organizations or RTOs. The one that we're a member of is SPP, Southwest Power Pool. They run from Texas all the way up to Canada, and they go into as far east as Iowa in that area, and as far as west as Colorado, Wyoming, ports of about 14 states are in that group there. Today, they set an all-time peak for demand. So when they set an all-time peak for demand, it became a very simple economics problem, right? Demand increased greatly, supply didn't, prices went up. So that's originally why you saw people asking for curtailment, was in order to keep prices down on the energy market. Later, what happened was the SPP lost a major generator out there at about noon today. So they had a major generation unit go offline. Don't know why. Okay, I don't know which one it was. I don't know why it went offline, but when that one went offline, demand was still high, supply then dropped, and they could not meet all the demand that was on the market. When that happens, SPP sends notice out to OPPD, MPPD, companies like that that own transmission lines, and say you need to curtail demand immediately. They then have to start shutting off load immediately. So they don't have time to call anybody and say, hey, we're going to start shutting you off. And so they had to, MPPD then had to start turning off different breakers around the state. And they set it up so it would be about 30-minute rolling blackouts, kind of what they thought it would be. So they did 2 sets. So they did 1 set for 30 minutes, and then they did a second set for 30 minutes. At the end of that hour, SPP then had enough generation again on hand that they could meet their demand, and they were no longer doing rolling blackouts anywhere in their footprint. So again, it was not a SPP trying to get back with anybody. It wasn't MPPD trying to, do anything. It wasn't anybody managed the system wrong. That's what happened today. You'll continue to see that over the next day or so. Again, with the temperatures being where they're at, you are driving demand to places where it has not been before. And there's simply, right now, there's a supply shortage, both on wind energy and on natural gas. There's a shortage of natural gas out there. So you start thinking of the Beatrice power plant that's out here, it runs on natural gas. If they cannot get enough natural gas, they can't run that plant, so they can't be one of their peaking loads. So that's the problems that you're having right now. Again, you have to think about the entire footprint. So if Oklahoma City's having an issue and they lose their wind farms, or if they lose a big coal plant down there, it does impact everybody else throughout the system. Another thing to keep in mind is you may have a lot of energy in the north and not a lot in the south, and you may not have the transmission lines to get it back and forth. That also has come into play today. So today you had to win about 8% of the generating, they were generating about 8% of the total energy on the market today, which was more than nuclear. It was more than hydro. It was more than a lot of those. The only thing that beat it was really natural gas and coal. So it wasn't as if there was no wind today. So it wasn't a wind turbine problem as much as it was simply just supply and demand.
And there's potential for rolling blackouts
Correct.
between now and 24 hours from now?
Yeah, on conference call today, they really thought they could get through about the next 24 hours. They felt in a lot better shape. Negative 23 degrees tonight. There's just not much you can do with that that's out there. I think I saw last night Dallas was at 7 degrees. So the temperature's gotten cold everywhere. As you get past that, it starts to warm up again, and as it warms up, you start seeing some of that natural load go away. Just heaters turn off more often, some of those things. The big issue today was as the large industrial customers started coming back on. That's why you didn't see the issue on Sunday, because Sunday's usually a low load day. Major industrial is not running usually. Monday's a big problem. Tuesday becomes another issue as those things start to happen. That's why we're asking people again to conserve energy if they can. The more energy we all can conserve, the less likely it becomes necessary to have rolling blackouts anywhere. But we certainly don't know that for certain. We're not in control of it. We're not in charge of it. It's not us doing it. We won't get notice. And if I get notice, it doesn't mean I have enough time to get notice back out to anybody before your power's off. We will let people know as much as we know and as soon as we know it.
Any questions of Tobias?
So you really don't know what section will get shut off, it just happens?
No, MPPD is working on that. That was one of the main complaints today was, why didn't you notify us? Why didn't MPPD notify people? Again, it's MPPD doing it because they own the transmission lines. That's why they're the ones doing this. They indicated, we got the notice we had the shed load. We don't have the time to pick up the phone and call you and make sure it's okay that I turn your power off, because we just started doing through our process. They are working tonight to say, okay, if we have to do this again tomorrow, here are the breakers we're gonna open, and let's try to get notice out to those people as quickly as possible. What they don't know, though, is they don't know if they need to shed 10 megawatts of load, 40 megawatts, 100 megawatts, right? They don't know how many people they need to turn off. So they can't tell you that you're gonna be at noon and you're at 12:30 and you're at 1. Whenever it happens, it'll happen.
The whole city wouldn't get shut off at one time, would it?
Possible. Don't know for sure. Again, what's a little unique is we're fed from 2 different substations. So you have a north and a south one. It is possible they may open one breaker, but not the other one. So you may have the southern portion be able to keep power while the northern portion doesn't, or vice versa. I heard reports today that in, I believe, Grand Island, I think the north part of their town lost some power because of the curtailment, but the rest of town was fine. So it is possible it may be just portions of town as it reaches certain substations then.
And you're just talking like half hour at a time?
That's what they're saying, is a half hour at a time. What we have made sure is, one of the concerns that we have is when MPPD then reopens that breaker, right, and they start having energy come back through, we don't want our breakers to trip, because all of a sudden there's a rush of energy coming through. And so we have made sure that we have staff tonight ready to go, that in the event that will occur overnight, that we have staff that's ready to go back out and make sure our breakers are closed, and so that we can have the power flowing and we don't have that issue.
So it's crucial for the media to be getting this out to the public as soon as they can then.
Yeah, and I think they have pretty much all
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Done a real nice job of it.
We're trying. We're trying to talk to all the large customers in town, try to let them know, they're all in the same boat. Hey, can you tell us when it's going to happen? No, we can't. If people are asking, what is the city of Beatrice doing? We're doing all the same things, right? All the thermostats are turned down at our buildings. We turn most of the stuff off that we can turn off around there. We put all of energy efficiency lighting into our buildings over the last couple of years. We continue to make those improvements. We've got stuff turned over to generators now that we can. So communications run off the generator right now because they don't want to run that risk of it not firing up when they need it. So they've just already switched over. So those are things that we're doing to help curtail as much as we can. But hopefully over the next couple of days, it just warms up. I mean, that's what we all need. We just need to get a little warmer.
Been quite a last 12 months, hasn't it?
Exactly.
All right, anything else of Tobias? Anyone from the public? We're going to delay the police department's report until one of our next meetings, more than likely on March the 1st. We had originally planned to have our work session at the Academic Excellence Center. I visited with Councilman Bob Morgan, who's also campus director, who has indicated that he would like to postpone that visit to another date, and we will roll out the information if we decide to have a work session. With that said, Mr. Claybaugh?
I move that the meeting be adjourned at 7:35 p.m.
Second.
Moved by Claybaugh, seconded by Billsbach, that the meeting be adjourned at 7:35 p.m. Your vote, please. That is approved, 5-0. Thank you, everyone.